everybody, it's Sherry with Alleged Actually. Welcome, it's Monday. So guys, as you know, or if you're new, Mondays has been our Married to Medicine Mondays. Y'all, I'm kind of sad. So this was our last part of the reunion last night. So this is going to be my last recap for this season until they come back, which means I'm going to need something else to talk about on Mondays. So I'm going to reach out to my dearest subscribers and newcomers to the page. What shows would you like to see me recap in the spot of Married to Medicine? I'm going to need a filler for Monday. I mean, I watch them all, so I want to know what you guys want to hear about, though. So put it in the comments. Let me know. What are y'all feeling? What do y'all want to talk about? What do you want to hear me recap? But again, welcome to Alleged Actually. I am Sherry, like I stated. And if you're first time over here at this channel and you like reality TV content and pop culture, look no further. We're the channel for you. So I'm just going to ask you right now, let's get the admin stuff out the way. Go ahead and hit that like button. And then not only that, I'm going to need you to share this channel with all your family and friends. And if you like what we're talking about over here, please hit the subscribe button. We've already reached 2 goals. So now we have surpassed our goal of 2,000 subscribers. And now we're on to our next goal of 3,000. So I know you guys aren't going to let us down over here at Alleged Actually, because we are bringing the tea, the content, and we're always trying to improve. Also, to guys let you know, we will be in the place, in the mix, if you will, at the iHeart Black Effects Podcast Festival that's going to take place on April 27th in Atlanta, Georgia. And so we will not be featured, of course. We're new, so we're still learning, but we will definitely be there for networking opportunity. And so all of you that can, come on out. Hopefully we can meet, support us. We're going to support you, so it's going to be a great time. So anyway, let's get to why we're here today. So last night was part 3 of the Married to Medicine reunion. So guys, first off, let me just say this, and I keep finding myself saying this a lot, and I don't like it because this is not where I want to be. Now keep in mind, I watch Dr. Heavenly's lives. I watched the lives that she was initially doing with Carlos King, and now, of course, Daddy told her she can't do the YouTube thing anymore, so she's over there at Patreon. So if you haven't, guys, check her out over there. She's going to do her recap, I think, today at 7. She's going live. But anyway, anywho, she has set us up to think this reunion was going to be the reunions of all reunions. I believe it was even said that they could have done 4 parts. And so with that being said, I really and truly have been left kind of like struggling with, what are you talking about? You know, when I recapped part 1, I said, you know, you never get everything you want in part 1 of reunion, and you don't. The part 1 is just so you can see what everybody has on, you know, kind of get reintroduced to the season, any newcomers to the show, meet them, you know, have them sit out there with Andy and chat about their experience, and then kind of start diving. By part 2, you're getting into the storylines. You're asking the questions the fans want to know. You're following up on things that we left resolved. And then by part 3, all bets should be off. We should be totally into the biggest drama of the season and diving deep and getting those hard questions answered. And last night I felt like it just didn't give what I thought it was gonna give, if that makes sense. And maybe, honey, maybe my expectations are too high. I have been watching reality TV since like the 90s, starting with Real World. So I really am into the genre of reality TV. And as all things do, things evolve. Is it just me, y'all? Or are these shows just no longer giving what they used to? Is there expiration date on reality TV shows? I don't know. But at any rate, let's get into it. You know, we left off on part 2 with Apollo getting ready to enter the stage. And so he does enter the stage. And might I add, Apollo looked very, very handsome. I mean, that's the thing going around. Everybody's like, woo, Apollo looked fine. He did. He looked good. Yeah, he brought a little eye candy to that set. No disrespect to the other husbands, but Apollo was popping. He looked good. And so when he comes out, everyone's like, oh, okay, you know, you can see all the ladies smiling. And Phaedra's basically like, look, Andy's like, you invited him. She was like, oh, yeah. She said, you know, everybody had questions and jokes. And so I made him appear. And she goes, poof. But actually, she particularly was addressing Toya. And Toya said, no, I was not joking. I wasn't trying to be shady. I wasn't trying to, you know, come for you in any capacity. I genuinely was asking those questions because I was trying to get to know you. And anytime she said that she brought up Apollo, Phaedra would get annoyed. And they go back to the scene of when they were at the spa, when they were in Napa Valley, and she'd ask, how did the boys deal with Apollo going away? And she was like, or did she talk to them about it? And she was like, oh no, they can read. They can read. And Toya was kind of like, okay. And so Apollo pipes in because, you know, Phaedra's just kind of looking all crazy per usual. And he says, look, at this point in the game, our co-parenting is impeccable. And he said that in the beginning of that journey, it was very topsy-turvy. That apparently when they would exchange, I won't even say exchange, that sounds kind of crazy, but when they would transfer the boys, I don't know, exchange, transfer, it all sounds kind of crazy. But whenever it was Apollo's turn to see the boys, apparently in the beginning, Phaedra was not okay with him coming to the house. They would meet at Chick-fil-A. Shout out to Chick-fil-A, as Apollo stated. But at this point, they've worked it out so that he gets to see the boys all the time. And he sees Phaedra a lot. You know, I guess she's more comfortable now with him picking them up from the house and all that. So he's basically letting everyone know that their co-parenting relationship has improved and they are in a healthier place with that. Basically, from there, they flash back to the scene of the garage, child, when it starts off with that, you know, it's not even funny because in the time that we saw it was really intense when it seems like Apollo was just really amped up and Phaedra is kind of like you could tell she's a little scared, but she's holding her own. And, you know, the whole go away from me thing. But what they particularly show in this scene is when he says, you know, you've already taken everything away from me. And she was like, did I, baby? As only Phaedra can. But so basically then Andy wants to know, he wants to get, you know, catch up with Apollo, wants to know how long he actually was locked up. Apollo went away for 5.5 years. And new tidbit, we find out that he was actually locked up in the same facility as Judge Udice. And that he actually did see him there, but they didn't get a chance to interact much because Apollo lets us know that, honey, he went to the shoe. The child, listen, I've never heard it referred to as the shoe. I was like, what is the shoe? And you can see like all of their faces. They look so uncomfortable, so appalled. Apparently, child, the shoe means solitary confinement, honey. Child, listen. And then Andy asked him about the situation with him and Todd. Were they good? And he said yes, that basically they had talked through it, that some of the things that happened were for a storyline. And maybe Apollo didn't understand that, but apparently it seems as though they've made their peace with that. And that really was regarding Todd and Candy holding his stuff for him And then I guess the feds found out. I mean, Lord knows, y'all. We're on a national television show. How are you going to hide stuff? And I mean, I guess maybe what he's saying is the fact that they even talked about it on the show was for a storyline, yet resulted in him not actually being able to hide his belongings. The feds got it and seized it as part of his paying back his what do you call it, y'all? Not retribution. What is it? Your restitution. So there's that. But I guess him and Todd are good now, from what he said. And then he also talked about because Andy asked him, he was married. He's married. But we also know that Apollo got caught up, child. Like, we saw him sprinkling on the internet with some bloggers talking about he got caught on the Ring camera, Netflix and chilling with some chick, child. That was not his wife. His wife's name is Shireen or something like that. So Apollo is Apolloing, child. At any rate, he basically talks then about the fact that they are trying to become a blended family. Andy asked Phaedra if she had a good relationship with his wife, and she said, or that if she talked to his wife, and she was like, no. And he was like, do you think that you guys will get to that point? And she was like, mm-mm. And I mean, to be fair, I think his children are old enough now. It would be nice if everybody could be cordial, but it's not like they're babies and you have to have a relationship because this woman's going to be taking care of your kids. Their children are now like preteens, teens, and can certainly vocalize if something's gone there that they don't like, or even if they're not comfortable being there with her, or she's not a good person or whatever. So I get it. You don't have to be besties, as long as dad is doing what he's supposed to do and Phaedra's doing what she's supposed to do. I think that's all that really matters. I mean, I too have a blended family situation, but came into it with both sets of children were teenagers and grown. And so, yeah, I mean, I get it. Totally get it. So, well, we finally get off of them, and then we get into Cecil's comment regarding Dr. G's leveling up when he met Sweet Tea. And Andy asked him about that. And basically, you could see Quad's face. And he said that Quad reached out and was like, leveling up, bro? Really? But he said what he meant was, because he starts off by saying, look, I love Quad. Quad is like my sister, and I love Sweet Tea. But he said he just really likes seeing Dr. G so happy. And that's what he meant by the statement. Which I think is fair. And so she says, well, okay, yeah, I could see that Sweet Tea could be a better fit. Or Andy asked her, and she says, yeah, I could see where Sweet Tea's a better fit because she's younger, easily influenced, and, then Sweet Tea's like, you don't really know me to speak on me, so, like, back off in a sense. And Quad just kind of looks, and child. So then we get into the whole 4,000 month of it all between Phaedra and Dr. G. And Phaedra is like, let's dive into this because did I ask you for 4,000? And Dr. G explains. He says that, apparently they were hanging out and he was really into Phaedra. And what Phaedra basically said was, look, I work really hard. My self-care routine or regime, it requires about $4,000. In other words, like, I only want to date a man that can do for me what I can do for myself. It didn't appear that she specifically said, hey, this is our business agreement. You give me $4,000 a month and I'll date you. It wasn't like that. But what she was saying was basically, I want a man that can do for me what I can do for myself. Otherwise, you're basically wasting my time. And Dr. G said at the time he was in his residency, he didn't have much money, but you could tell that he was really into Phaedra. And this was circa 2002. And so Apollo pipes in and says, basically, he gave the same breakdown that I did. What she meant was she needed a man that could match what she could do for herself. And so Andy was like, apparently you could. And he said, oh, I could exceed what she needed. So Dr. G was saying how basically she was like into the ballers and the shot callers, and he just couldn't do that. And but he was saying, so then she asked, okay, let's clear the air in this too. Dr. G, did we ever have a romantic moment? And he says, not mutually. Y'all, that was so disrespectful to Sweet Tea. You could literally see her sitting there squirming. And she tried to keep a smile on her face, but y'all, Dr. G is a whole clown for that. Like, why? I mean, you could go back in time and reminisce and kiki about, back then, yeah, I was feeling Phaedra, but there's a way you could say it in a more respectful manner. I mean, she's new to this group. She's new to the show. She's on TV. And you are basically playing in her face, talking about how you fantasize over Phaedra, how you wished it had gone somewhere. He even goes on to say in retrospect, he wished he had lied about not having the $4,000 because you never know what would have been or what they could have become. Everybody's like, what is happening here? What is going on? Dr. G, you don't see your whole wife that's sitting right in front of you? I was confused. I mean, and y'all listen, and I'm gonna hop off this because I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on this or even on this recap because it just didn't give like what I really thought it was gonna give. But Dr. G is a whole psychiatrist. How do you not know that words matter? And y'all. Anyway, honey, it was an awkward moment nonetheless. So then we go on to Toya and Eugene and the conversation that they have with the boys about what girls like. Girls like the jocks and not the smart guys, and kind of like whether Eugene would have been able to pull Toya in high school. And Eugene, with his confident self, says, I always win at what I do. They go back to the scene again with the boys when the boys are saying, yeah, you didn't play football or basketball. You ran track and you got lucky. Little mouthy Avery, just like Toya, child. He looks like Toya and he acts like her too. But, listen, and there's nothing wrong with that. Then they go to the point where Dr. Eugene and her first met, and this was come up on Carlos's interview with Dr. Eugene and Cecil, which I did enjoy, by the way. Shout out to Camille. I watched it, and it was good. And it gave me a lot of insight, particularly into Dr. Eugene and Toya's relationship, and Cecil and Simone. But really, I think I understand Dr. Eugene a lot better now. So basically, Quad reveals that Toya said when they had done the speed dating thing, this was early in the relationship, their first time meeting, that he initially had told her he was a nurse. And child, when she got the info that he was a nurse, she was like, keep it moving. And she pipes in and said, because he told me that, which Dr. Eugene admits, yeah, he told her that initially, I guess, to see, child, I don't know, to test her maybe. But once she found out he was a doctor, she was like, oh yeah, honey, come on. Yeah, we good. And they've been good ever since. I mean, you can't fake it for that long, y'all. So, I mean, it's okay to want certain things for yourself and want certain things in your partner. I mean, I work hard at this point in my life. I couldn't see. I mean, love is love. But, it's okay to set some standards for yourself. Who you want to date or who you want to spend your time with or your life with. That's okay. You want to be around like-minded people. I think that's okay. And so then Dr. G talks about being around Quad. Andy's like checking in with you, wellness check. Are you okay? don't know, y'all. I thought that was a bit much because now, what did he think Quad was going to do? Disappear because him and Sweet Tea were joining the cast? Now, y'all knew she was on the show, so if it was going to be taxing on your mental health, you could have just not done it. At any rate, he did say, anytime you go through something that, it's a lot of trauma and very toxic, it can trigger you or whatever. And he was also asked about Sweet Tea and whether or not they had a prenup. And he was like, no, I trust my wife. And so there is no need, because Phaedra was the one that gave him the advice to get a prenup, and he opted not to do one. Also, it comes out on Watch What Happens Live. He didn't have one with Quad either. So, child, you would think he would learn when he came home to that empty house. Quad said, you will not be getting this Sleep Number bed. This coming with me, boo. I don't know. I don't have a prenup either. But Andy brings up her comment about how Sweet Tea's comment about liking his bag, particularly when she said, and they do a flashback to the scene where she's at her pampering party, aka bachelorette party, when they ask her, what does she like about being the fiance, and she's like, getting access to the money. I think that's gonna go down as one of Mary D. Medicine's good one-liners. Access to the money, honey, child. I'm not mad, but she did say that. And then they come back and he's like, because Andy's like, well, she likes your bag. And he's like, well, I like her bag too. Because it's not like Sweet Tea's not making money. She works for the government. She's got a job. They even said, I think her job is a 6-figure job. She's not, she's bringing a little something to the table as well. And so then they bring up the issue between Quad and Dr. Eugene and Toya, and her calling Dr. Eugene Eugina. She does apologize for that. So there's another apology that we can add to Quad's apology tour. One that's needed, though, because after listening to the interview with Dr. Eugene Cecil and Carlos King, I don't know that she realized perhaps how much she did in fact hurt him with some of her comments. They always say that men should stay out of women's business, but words hurt. And this man, again, he's a doctor, and you see your patients every day, and when it's between the women, then they shouldn't bring the men in it either. I don't know. Child, that's probably a separate discussion we can have if y'all want to. So then we get on to the infamous Hilton Head trip, and they do a flashback on all the things that go with the fact that Simone announces we're going to Hilton Head, Jackie's face, the Sweet Tea versus Dr. Jackie incident, the Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Simone incident, child. And also the clip where Phaedra talks about how that this cast was so supportive of each other, particularly in their marriages, and that had she had that support over at Housewives, perhaps her and Apollo would have still been together. And they come back from the flashback scenes, and Andy was like, that's interesting. And he asked Apollo what he thought about that, and he said he never knew that. He said he thought with all that they went through that it was over. He didn't know that was on the table. So, and a lot of people are talking about, and this gets talked about a lot between Quad and Dr. G and Phaedra and Apollo. Is like, oh, they still have feelings for each other. They still love each other. Y'all, listen, after you have dissolved a marriage, it does not mean that you hate the person or that there may not be still not romantic feelings, but you care, particularly with Apollo and Phaedra. They share two boys together. So there'll always be their family. There's always going to be a connection there. They are the parents of these boys. And so, and then retrospect, I guess she was saying that had she had people that helped her realize that she should have fought a little harder or hung in there a little longer, maybe she would have gone a different direction. I don't think I believe that, because I really believe that in that moment, Phaedra was concerned about what his foolishness was doing to her reputation. So I don't think nothing any of them could have said would have changed a thing. But it's nice to say, Phaedra. Okay. So then we get into Dr. Heavenly versus Dr. Simone. Child, Heavenly says, before you start screaming at me or yelling at me, let me get this out. And she basically says, I know how you are. I knew Dr. Jackie was hurting. I know that you're hard-headed and you don't always listen. So I was trying to let you know that your friend was hurt and that it may not have been the best idea. And of course, and she said, but she also acknowledges that Jackie needs to speak up for herself. And I agree. Dr. Heavenly, stop being Dr. Jackie's mouthpiece. Not only is she grown, she's the oldest woman on the show. She has no problem articulating things when she wants to. And you asserting yourself in her mess should stop. Her and Dr. Simone have been friends for 20 some odd years. And they even showed the picture on this infamous interview. Y'all go to Carlos King and check out that interview, y'all. It was good. There's a picture of Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone, probably sometime shortly after they got out of med school or whatever, sometime in the 90s. So these ladies have known each other a very long time. And I totally get Dr. Heavenly's perspective, because she does love Dr. Jackie and she cares for her. But one would think that Dr. Simone, that has known her this long, would also know her friend. And I'm not, okay, so let me just say this, because I'm not even going to get into their screaming match, because we all know what it is, child. They are battling for the friendship of Jackie, which I think is ridiculous. Jackie could put a stop to every bit of that, but I think she kind of likes it, y'all. But the thing of it is, from Simone's perspective, the fact that she is so close to Dr. Heavenly really gets under her skin, which that's what actually even initiated how her and Toya are so close now. It's petty, it's childish. And then really and truly, the Simone and Jackie stuff dates back, if y'all recall, where she was angry with Dr. Simone for not denouncing Buffy when Buffy called her out for speaking publicly about her infertility issues. So both of them are petty. They're probably a lot alike, y'all. It is childish to the maximum on why they are in this weird spot with their friendship. They say they're back on point, but I don't think so. I think that they aren't 100%. I think that there's still things they are not speaking on and resolving, and they're holding on to resentment from those two issues. Dr. Jackie does not like how Dr. Simone did not stand up for her when Buffy called her out, which I feel like Buffy had every right. And that was a few seasons back, y'all. And I can't recall exactly the season, but I want to say maybe season 7 or 6. Don't quote me on that, because Buffy only did one season, child. But that's really where it comes from. At any rate, they discuss how, Dr. Simone was like, I saw how Jackie looked when I brought it up. That's why I texted her. And then Dr. Alicia pipes in and says, well, if that's your friend, you should have, changed the location. And she was like, I couldn't change the location. Simone, she's screaming to the top of the decibels, honey. She wears me out with that. How you gonna be a whole doctor and you don't have enough emotional intelligence and wherewithal to contain yourself better than that? Screaming like a banshee every time someone comes for you. It's just, Anyway, child, she screams that she didn't have time to change the location and she didn't want to talk to Dr. Alicia about it. She sure enough didn't want to talk to Dr. Jackie. And we all know that production was the major catalyst to that. I mean, I don't think they really pick, nor do they pick and pay for these trips. That's what the show does. Production does that. Because like Alicia said, they could have played golf and cooked anywhere, child. Hilton Head was not written in stone. It was production that drove that, in my opinion. So, but anyway, then they go through their stuff, and they all agree that Dr. Jackie needs to speak up for herself. And Dr. Jackie basically just says, or then, Curtis tries to pop in there and say, well, this happened 7 years ago. So, me nor Dr. Jackie wanted to relive that. We knew with this group, if we went, and they did end up going, by the way, but that it was going to be brought up, and we just weren't here for that. Well, it wouldn't be nothing to bring up if you didn't do it, Curtis. And what I also found strange, other than the shady comment of Andy when he said Curtis in from the DR. Why did anybody ask him about the DR? Why always being in the DR? Because we have questions, y'all. I know he's supposed to be doing a real estate development deal there, but with his track record, I hope not, but I have questions, guys. I do. So if you do, put it in the comments, child, so we can talk about it. So anyway, we get off of that, and then Andy asked Sweet Tea about how she felt being, with this group, and she said she's really felt hazed. Oh, no, I'm sorry. How she felt when she was on the trip, because we're still on Hilton Head. I'm jumping ahead of myself. And she was saying that she had felt hazed by the group, and that it was hard for her to feel empathy for Dr. Jackie for something that happened 7 years ago, when Dr. Jackie thought it was funny to bring up the woman at the hotel in front of her, to have Sweet Tea at the butt of her jokes, and to be mean-spirited. And she was like, why then should I care that she was hurt over this? I didn't. And so they talk about they showed all the little flashbacks and the interaction between her and Dr. Jackie, where Dr. Eugene said that she gave her the church stare. And we all laughed about that because we know what that is. And Andy asked all the guys, had they ever, in fact, gotten the church stare? And they were all like, oh, yeah. And they're referring to the scene when she said, and baby girl, I'll handle you later. Okay. When the whole Sweet Tea with the FU and all this, child, it was a hot mess. But anyway, so then Toya and Dr. Alicia kind of go at it, and she says that there's a flashback where Dr. Eugene and Toya are talking about Dr. Alicia and Dr. Kimma, and about how, he speaks to her and the whole oral sex thing, and just basically talking about their marriage, their relationship, maybe even making light of it. And they come back, and Dr. Alicia and Toya says, well, it is the fact that, I just wanted to make sure, you were okay, because whenever Dr. Kimma talks, he's talking about what he needs. It's very, very rare that he even speaks on Toya what you need. On Dr. Alicia what you need. This is what Toya was saying. And Dr. Alicia says, oh, no, I'm good. I don't have a problem with my man's penis size. Child, Dr. Alicia should have been given more airtime, because she's quick with hers. She really is. And that's what prompts Dr. Eugene to say, let me just whip it out here right now. And Andy's like, yeah, come on. Little fun, light moment, but it goes back to the point of, Toya making remarks about his penis size wasn't going to get any bigger. But Dr. Eugene explained that in his interview with Carlos, that she was saying that, you get what you get when you're married. It's not going to change except who you are with, and be okay with that. Things may get better, but they may not. Child, I don't know. I don't think you should be talking about that, particularly not on a national TV show. That's really demeaning to your man, emasculating, all of those things. But do you, Toya, go off. If he likes it, I love it. Dr. Alicia defends Dr. Kimma about their gender role comments, and she just basically says it works for them. And they also go back into the oral sex thing. Y'all, it is tired. We've already talked about this. The man don't want to do it, and she's okay with it. So why do y'all care? But they go into it. Dr. Alicia says, oh no, but to top it off, child, she even mentions the fact that she's an oral surgeon. He's an oral specialist, or she's a specialist, he's a surgeon, and they've seen people come in with trauma as a result of child, I guess, performing oral sex, honey. Whew, was a lot. Look, if y'all don't want to do it, just don't do it. I'm like Dr. Damon when Dr. Damon said, honey, it's okay sometimes to say things just aren't your business. Just do that. Let's do enough. You don't want to. Okay. And, he's got to go on over to Phaedra still, and he's being shady, saying, well, you dated some Nigerians, and you said that wasn't the case. And Phaedra corrects him, one Nigerian, and she said, no, that was not her experience with her Nigerian. Again, y'all, let's put a pin there. If she likes it and she's fine and they're happy, let's just move on. So then we go over to Dr. G. And, what I wanted to say about Dr. G, because I'm sorry, y'all. I make little notes so that I make sure I put in here the comments I really want to talk about. So they had gone to break and they came back, and Quad's having a little bit of a wardrobe malfunction where you can see her panties. And Dr. Alicia's letting her know she needs to adjust herself. Child, Dr. G looked like a straight up statue. He was sitting there like this. I will not look. Y'all, he is the creepiest of creeps. Is he not? Ugh. Put it in the comments, y'all, if you agree. What is with him? Yuck. Sweet tea, you are my prayer list, sis. Child, I can't. Then, child, they do another flashback on the journeys with all their marriages. You see Dr. Jackie and Curtis, Dr. Simone and Cecil, and Dr. G and Quad. And it goes all the way through until you see how, eventually the resolution between Dr. Simone and Cecil. And of course, Dr. Jackie and Curtis, they make it too. But then sadly, Quad and Dr. G doesn't. And so after they come off the flashback, Quad does speak up about how difficult it was to watch the turmoil and everything she went through with her ex, Dr. G. And then also to be reminded of at one point how close they all were at one point, her and the ladies. Because you saw that and you saw how they really were there for each other. And she was saying, to look back and see where we were and to know that I almost lost that. Child, she's laying on thick. We get it, Quad. We're trying to bring you back next season. You'll be back. So then Curtis talks about how he hoped that by watching him and Dr. Jackie's story that it may help other people and maybe help them know that with some work and if they really want to, they can make it. I thought that was fair. That was nice. I guess he was saying that maybe it's embarrassing as it all was, that it was worth it if it could help some others. And I'm sure it did. I'm certain it did. That was humbling for Dr. Jackie at the least. And something I'm sure that he wishes was never brought to TV. But again, I think that's fair. Dr. G says he's happy with his new wife. He was saying how, she's very outgoing and how she can cook. And honey, Quad adds in there, she said in my Phaedra, and she was like, honey, he keeps one of those. Because I guess she's saying what you're not going to do is act like I couldn't cook. Because Quad is known for her chef skills. I mean, she cooks it up, child. So I get it. Then we get into another crazy exchange between Sweet Tea and Dr. Heavenly. Again, the venom, the anger, the cursing. I said this before and I'm going to say it again. Dr. Heavenly, you're 53. Sweet Tea's 32. I don't see where I could expend that kind of energy with someone that much of my junior. It would just be like me speaking to one of my children. They don't warrant that from me. I mean, unless they're being disrespectful, but she's not your child. She is a grown woman. And basically, I don't know. I know that there's been a lot of hurtful things hurled at each other. I just think that needs to die. That needs to stop. That needs to go away. She's a much younger woman. I mean, you can agree to disagree that you guys just aren't each other's type of hype. But to literally be going back and forth with somebody that much, So then Andy asked Dr. Jackie where they're going to travel in the next 10 years. And Phaedra's like, honey, let me do this trip. And that's her solidifying her spot, y'all. And she said, it'll be somewhere international. And she'll take over, honey. Then the husbands leave the stage. And then Dr. Simone does the flashback on them with Sweet Tea at the bridal shop trying on her dresses. And you see Toya and Phaedra talking about Sweet Tea's little butt. And, you know, Phaedra tries to make it nice. Oh, no, I wasn't trying to be mean. I just thought she had a tiny hiney and it was so cute. Phaedra, child. They were coming for her. But anyway, so then Andy asked her about how she felt in that. Sweet Tea said, you know, she really felt, it made her feel bad. You know, for some reason, she didn't have her mom or her sister there. Her twin wasn't there, which I find strange. But at any route, basically she was saying that it hurt, you know, the comments. And she made the point of saying that, you know, Atlanta, all of them are nipped, tucked, and sucked. You know, this is her natural body. And then they talk about things that they've around the table who's had something done. I think Toya's had her boobs and maybe some lipo. And Jackie said, or Dr. Simone had a tummy tuck. Dr. Heavenly has had a tummy tuck as well, and lap band. And Jackie's had her double mastectomy, which is not, you know, unfortunately for her, that. But, and from there, basically, y'all, it wasn't a whole lot more. There were final thoughts. They went around the room and, you know, they wanted to echo the fact that Phaedra talked about how she could tell this cast were really good friends and not just for the show, on and off camera. And of course, they wanted to put another little needle in Quad's back and saying, yeah, hopefully, you know, we can keep that up, Quad. And I don't know. So basically, that's pretty much the gist of it, y'all. I'm going to say this. I enjoyed the season, so I don't want it to come across like I didn't, because I wouldn't be here recapping it every week if I didn't. But I would really like to see, for the next season, I would like to see more from Phaedra. I think maybe her bringing Apollo on, which I was still confused about, other than maybe this is his introduction and he's going to film with her on Married to Med to show their co-parenting. I don't know what that was. But I would really like to see more from Dr. Jackie and Curtis. I would like to see definitely more there. Simone, Cecil, you know, they gave some, but let's let the boys be grown. And let's see how you two are really doing. And Toya and Eugene, they give it up. They do. So I can't say I'm going to ask more from them. Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon, they do them. Dr. Heavenly, she plays her part. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. And I don't know if Dr. Alicia's coming back, but if so, I hope they give her more camera time. She has some good, quick one-liners back. She can read. She's shady. And she's so pretty. So I could do without a lot of Dr. Kimma, but he comes with her. So basically, he told Dr. Eugene, too, after he saw the flashback with him and Toya talking about him and Dr. Alicia, that he would not be guy talking with him anymore. Like, he wasn't going to be sharing with the guys. And child, thank you, because we don't want to hear from you anyway. We don't like caveman. But, y'all, there you have it. There you have it. Oh. That's my take on Married to Medicine. It's overall been a good season. I'm looking for something to fill my Mondays. So, guys, put it in the comments. What would you like to see me recap on Mondays? What's going to take the place of our Married to Medicine Mondays? So put it in the comments, and I'm going to add it to the lineup. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, if you like what you heard here today, please hit that like. Go ahead and share it with the masses. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can be alerted the minute we drop that content. Thank you guys again. We love you over here at Alleged Actually, and we'll see you back on Thursday. Thanks, guys.